To begin, EV Metals Group would like to acknowledge the leadership of the ministers and ministries for promoting this global forum for future minerals. And the headline, Future Minerals, is a discerning and defining choice. EV Metals Group is building a global battery chemicals and technology business. We bring a different agenda and time frame to exploration and mining required for discovery, development and production of minerals and metals in the kingdom. We are focused on delivering the world's first integrated battery chemicals complex at Yanbu Industrial City in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Our strategic objective is to capture a growing market share of battery chemicals business for the kingdom as structural deficits in the supply chain in global markets emerge over the remainder of this decade. To achieve this, we need to fast-track the development for speed to market. Our business model and strategy is based on the upstream integration of supply chains to secure long-term, stable and transparent supplies of critical raw materials required for rechargeable batteries for electric vehicles and renewable energy storage. For EVM, future minerals are those critical raw materials in the form of mineral resources that contain strategic metals required for decarbonisation, for transition to a clean energy future. Those critical raw materials are lithium, nickel, copper, cobalt, platinum group metals and rare earth elements. Our journey to and in the kingdom began in 2019. At that time, EVM was approached to consider building a midstream processing plant to produce nickel chemicals in the kingdom, an intermediate product containing nickel, cobalt and manganese from an MHP plant based on our nickel cobalt resources in Western Australia. That led us to Vision 2030. As we understood it, in simple terms, Vision 2030 represented a national strategic plan to transform the economy of the kingdom from being a global leader in energy based on fossil fuels to a global leader in energy based on renewables. The closer we looked into Vision 2030, the more we began to see strategic opportunities for the kingdom. The breakthrough for us was found in the aspirations of Vision 2030 to attract the development of midstream and downstream processing facilities for the production of cathode active materials for the manufacture of rechargeable batteries for electric vehicles and renewable energy storage. Cathode active materials require high purity chemicals in the form of lithium hydroxide monohydrate and nickel, cobalt and manganese sulfate for high energy density batteries. This is the genesis of the battery chemicals complex to be built at Yanbu Industrial City. In our global interactions, we have heard comments that Vision 2030 is a great concept, but that little has been delivered. Our response to that criticism is that Vision 2030 is exactly that. Vision 2030, not Vision 2020, not Vision 2022 or Vision 2025 and so on. The battery chemicals complex at Yanbu Industrial City comprises a lithium chemicals plant, a nickel chemicals plant and a cathode active materials plant. EVM will fast-track the staged development and expansion of the battery chemicals complex to include 4 processing trains in the lithium chemicals plant to produce 100,000 tonnes per annum of lithium hydroxide monohydrate, and 3 processing trains in the nickel chemicals plant to produce 450,000 tonnes per annum of nickel sulfate. EVM is delivering into Vision 2030. We start construction of the first 2 processing trains for the production of lithium hydroxide monohydrate for the lithium chemicals plant in just 12 months. That is in Q1 2023. The battery chemicals complex is being developed as a midstream and downstream hub for diversification and geopolitical alignment of global supply chains. Original equipment manufacturers in growth markets in Europe and North America are seeking secure, transparent and stable long-term supplies of critical raw materials, high-purity chemicals, and cathode active materials. EVM has completed detailed market analysis and studies of each stage of the supply chain for cathode active materials out to 2040, from in situ resources through the delivery of cathode active materials to global chemical companies and battery cell manufacturers. Global issues emerged from our market analysis and studies. First, there is massive investment at OEM level by electric vehicle manufacturers and battery cell manufacturers. However, the level of investment in the upstream supply chain for critical raw materials is not sufficient to supply the demand growth by OEMs who appear oblivious to the threats of disruptions to their global growth plans. Secondly, major chemical companies outside China appear incapable or unwilling to invest in the development of upstream supply chains. As a result, their supply chains are fragmented and uncertain. Here, EVM sees a strategic market gap and opportunity with the Kingdom. EVM and the Kingdom are already investing in development and integration of upstream supply chains to secure long-term, stable, and transparent supplies of critical raw materials. Thirdly, transparent supply chains require transparent pricing for primary producers of critical raw materials and OEMs. The lithium market has been described to us as an immature market with Wild West pricing based on opaque and black box pricing models. EVM is developing a new pricing model for lithium based on transparent pricing at each stage in the supply chain. EVM has entered into an agreement with the National Industrial Development Center for the development of the Saudi supply chain for critical raw materials in the Kingdom. We have advanced applications for exploration licenses over areas with potential for critical raw materials containing lithium, nickel, copper, cobalt, platinum group metals, and rare earth elements for the development of the Saudi supply chain for the battery chemicals complex. While the Saudi supply chain is being established, EVM is moving forward with the development of the battery chemicals complex with the upstream integration of supply chains through the production of and life of mine offtake agreements for intermediate products from Western Australia. Western Australia is a politically stable jurisdiction with low sovereign risk and transparent supply chains. It is the largest producer of lithium in the form of spodumene concentrate for global markets. It is also the largest producer of nickel, cobalt, and rare earth elements in Australia. EVM will bring world-class leading technical capabilities, technology, and know-how from Western Australia to accelerate the development of the battery chemicals complex and the Saudi supply chain in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Technology has a strategic role in the business model of EVM. We are working on arrangements for collaboration with universities and research institutes for research and development in battery chemistry and technology in the Kingdom. With this, we are focused on the development of jobs of the future for generations of young Saudi men and women. On behalf of the board of EVM, led by our chairman Abdullah Busfar, I would like to thank the ministers and their lead agencies for their efforts to recognise the battery chemicals complex as a project of national strategic importance for the Kingdom. We look forward to working with you to continue the delivery of the battery chemicals complex as we roll out 3 chemicals plants with estimated investment of US $3 billion through to 2030. I'm disappointed that I could not be there to speak in person today and to discuss our recent announcements, but I invite you to approach our chairman Abdullah Busfar and our fellow Saudi directors Khalid Hashim, Abdul Rahman Al-Issi, Othman El-Amoudi, and visit the EVM stand, which is at the entrance to the forum venue. To conclude, we are witnessing government intervention on a global scale, unprecedented in the history of humankind. This is propelling irresistible change towards a clean energy future. Vision 2030 and the Saudi Green Initiative are manifestations of that intervention. We are also witnessing evolving policies on environment and social governance across the globe. With that, we face fundamental choices, personal choices, to comply because we have to, or change because we are personally committed. At EVM, we are motivated and inspired to make a difference because we want a clean energy future. At a personal level, I have a simple vision of what that future looks like. It is a child in a field, heralding clean energy for future generations.